Hello guys, welcome back to Chris Flies Planes. Chris here of course, and today we are playing the fantastic Kerbal Space Program. I've played a reasonable amount of this on my own, but it shouldn't take us too long to get out of depth. We're going to jump in right from the start here. I love this game, super fun. So we're going to start a new career mode, save the name as Let's Play. And for our flag, we're going to go for one of these nice hexagon models. I reckon just that one is beautiful. Difficulty options, we are going to go to moderate difficulty. So I think that should be pretty good. I reckon so. And we're just going to go straight in here. So I guess the end goal really... I don't know really. I guess work through all the contracts and just see where we can get. Right. So we've got the administration building. This is where you can pick any of your strategies. We've got the astronaut complex where you can see who we've got. So we've currently got Jebediah, Bill Kerman, Bob Kerman, and Valentina Kerman. And then we've got all of these guys who can be hired as applicants. We're not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to try and not kill anybody. We have our flagpole. We have our launch pad, we have mission control, which is where we can select some contracts. We're going to select launch our first vessel and gather scientific data from Kerbin. There's our first two, and that gets us science, which we can spend in here. This is the tech tree, also known as the research and development department. So we currently start out with this guy, so we've not got a huge amount here. And then we move on to basic rocketry, etc, 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 all the way up to... rapier engines, experimental science, all sorts of magic at this far end here. We've got a way to go before we can do that. We have our runway for launching space planes and our space plane hangar to go with that. We'll be tackling that in a few episodes' time. We have our tracking station. This is where we are able to see Kerbins around the world and further beyond, of course. And finally... we have our vehicle assembly building, where we're going to be spending a good amount of time. To start off with, though, I want to upgrade the tracking station and mission control as much as we can. We don't actually have much money. We're not going to be doing that yet. Okay, let's jump straight into the vehicle assembly building and let's get our feet wet and launch our first spaceship. It's going to be a very simple one. Let's drop on the Mark 1 command pod in Mark 16 parachute to make sure we get safely back down to Earth. And a rocket booster. And that is it. So we're going to be naming things along a mountain naming scheme. So this is going to be the Snowden Mark 1. Let's get that saved. Let's just check our crew here. We've got Jebediah on board. That's who we want on board, really. And while we're doing this, actually, let's just see if we can bang some science on it. There we go. So we are going to put on one of these. This is going to give us some information from Kerbal Engineer, one of the mods we have. We've got two mods installed today. We have Kerbal Engineer and Kerbal Alarm Clock, and I will show you them as we get to them. I mean, in fact, you can see Kerbal Engineer already on the screen up here. It's just showing us the mass, cost, parts, delta V, etc., thrust to weight. You can see our thrust to weight ratio is extremely high right now, so we are going to go like the clappers. Yeah, I reckon that's going to be pretty grand for our first spaceship. Let's make sure our staging is correct. And let's go to the launch pad here. So where possible, I want to follow a little... one thing I should say, I don't want to revert flights when things go wrong in this. If we lose a Kerbal, we lose a Kerbal. So it's going to be very important that we do things properly. So with that in mind, I want to create a very small checklist for us here. So when we go out on the launch pad, the first thing is we are going to check is our staging. Is our staging correct? You can see our booster is going to launch and then our parachute is going to launch. That is correct. We have a parachute. Let's check parachute settings. It's set to deploy at 1000, which is absolutely fine. We're going to put SAS on. Everything else looks pretty great. And yeah, I think we are good to launch. So 3, 2, 1, go. And as I said, we are going like the clappers. I'm going to tilt her over slightly into a gravity sun here for the simple reason that I want to hit the ocean when we come back down. Let's grab a crew report while we're here. Let's grab a observe mystery goo. The goo jiggles and wobbles as the craft flies. Fantastic. Let's keep that. And that's it, guys. That is Kerbal Space Program. That's how simple it is to get 8,000 meters in the air. This is everything that Kerbal Engineer gives us, is this information on screen here. So we've got the apoapsis height, time to apoapsis, periapsis height, time to periapsis. Super useful during orbit. We've got a few more informations here. These are kind of useful when we're landing and doing that kind of stuff. And then a ton of information down here, which we'll kind of go through when it is relevant for the Let's Play. So we are now coming back down. Let's just make sure we are pointed retrograde here. And if we look at our contracts, you can see we've achieved our first goal. And I believe we'll achieve the second goal once we recover the science we have on board. Okay, I'm going to fast forward us down a little bit. And just pause her just before the parachute launches. I didn't launch a parachute. We killed Jebediah on our first flight, and as much as I want to do it, I did say to you guys, we're not going to revert. Jebediah is gone. He is the first casualty of Chris Fly's plane space program. We haven't even got anything to recover. So that was a bit of a shitter. I forgot to launch a parachute there. I for some reason thought it was going to launch itself automatically, and it didn't. Anyway, let's jump back into this building. We now have Valentina Kerman on board, our only remaining pilot in Chris Fly's plane space program. Let's once again go to the launch pad. What a rookie mistake, guys. But there we go. Anyway, staging is correct. Parachute is on. SAS is on. And let's launch. This time, just having a parachute on board is not enough. We do need to actually use it. Okay, so once again, let's observe our mystery goo. Let's take a crew report. Let's fire our parachute here. I'm going to turn SAS off just so the craft orients itself. It tends to be a pretty useful way to come back down. Okay, we're not quite coming down over the ocean, but hopefully we will be coming down soft enough not to cause any huge damage. We're coming down at around 6 meters per second. It's a little bit fast, but hopefully it'll be okay. Let's face it, it can't be worse than what happened to Jebediah. Okay, it's coming down past 100 meters here. And perfect landing. Last piece I'm going to do is I'm going to EVA Valentina here and just take a EVA report from her. And she can get back in and we can recover that craft. Our first successful flight, thankfully. Okay, so we've recovered 16.1 science. That is going to be enough to spend. We also recovered some money, which is great. You can see we now have 109,000. We achieved a couple of contracts there, obviously. So we go to our R&D. We can look at basic rocketry. This is going to give us the swivel liquid fuel engine, the hammer solid fuel booster, and the FLT100 fuel tank. So we're going to buy that for 5 science. And then if we pop over here, you can see we've got the thermometer, the communitron, the stack decoupler, and the communitron as well, which we're also going to buy. For that, we also have to buy the parts because we're playing in moderate difficult settings, so let's do that. And let's see if there's anything else. We can also buy the affordability. I'm going to do that. Survivability, sorry. Maybe if we had bought that a little while ago, Jebediah would still be with us. But sadly, no Jebediah. Right. Let's just pop back into the R&D here and make sure we actually bought the survivability package. We didn't. There we go. Let's pop over into our mission control, that's our spaceplane hangar, and see what missions we have available to us. Mission control is this little guy up here. So we have a lot more missions available to us now. Let's see, what shall we do? What shall we do? Let's test that. Let's test that. Okay. So here's a couple more contracts for us here. We'll have a read about them once we get in here. So we have to test the swivel liquid fuel engine and the the 18A stack decoupler. So let's create the Snowden Mark II. So command pod, obviously. I'm going to put on one of these guys and also a radial mount drogue parachute just to slow us down. I'm going to put on one of these guys. And we're going to put on a goo pod there as well. See on this side if we can just squeeze a thermometer and a barometer here. Perfect. Then we can put on our... Let's put a heat shield on. We probably won't need it, but I definitely want to err on the side of caution, seeing as we've already lost our star pilot due to operator error, let's say. Just going to put 1, 2, 3 fuel tanks, a swivel engine, stack decoupler, and then we're going to put on a hammer. Yes, one of those guys. Let's just have a look through our parts, see if there's anything we are obviously missing. We're not going to bother with communitrons because we do not intend to send any science back. It's definitely worth just keeping them on board for now. We lose science in the transmission, so let's check our staging. We've got booster, decoupler, rocket, decoupler, parachutes. Beautiful. So this is going to be the Snowden Mark II. You can see we've got 2032 delta V there, which is pretty great, and our thrust weight ratio is a little bit high on the first stage. In fact, it's very high on the first stage. Let's actually put a little bit more fuel on there. That's vaguely better. Let's just let's go. Obviously, the Snowden Mark II. Sorry. Let's just check we have Valentina piloting today. We do, and let's go. Okay. So regarding with testing, I'm not sure if we can click and we can click and run test. So that is done. Can we run test on a decoupler? No, we just have to decouple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decouple and recover this vessel. That's going to get us those 2 contracts. Okay, then we pop over to mission control again. Okay, it would appear that didn't pass. I'm not entirely sure why. Let's just take the escape the atmosphere contract as well. And let's pop back into the VAB. And just, yeah, I'm not sure why we wouldn't have got that mission. Is there an option to like run test on it maybe? No. Well, anyway, we're going to get going. So once again, let's walk through our checklist. We're going to check our staging is rocket, decoupler, parachutes. Parachutes are attached and set fine. SAS is on. We're going to throttle up to 2/3 and we are about good to go here. So once we hit 100 meters per second, we're going to start gravity turn. Actually, we are, I wouldn't say wildly out of control right now, but at the same time, I don't know how comfortable Valentina is feeling about this flight. Now we're wildly out of control. There we go. We may as well just keep going this way, I guess. It's definitely not the way you want to orbit. We are fighting the rotation of the planet this way. But at the very least, we can do this, and let's see if we can't escape the atmosphere and get this contract. We're definitely not going to be going into orbit with this guy, especially not this direction. But we are most certainly going into space. Okay, let's observe our mystery goo. We actually may not want to keep that. I think maybe we'll get more science once we're up out the atmosphere. I do like the quantification of science in this game. It does seem wonderfully simple. Let's reset the goo canister. And let's observe that again. There we go, 9 science. Let's take a crew report. 4.5 science. Let's take a thermometer report. 7.2 science. And a pressure report. It reads 0, as one would expect. Fantastic. Let's decouple this stage. Orient ourselves prograde for re-entry. And let's go. So we managed to get ourselves up to 117,000 meters there, or 117 kilometers. That's a good height and a good start for us to orbit. So again, check we are prograde. I'm very glad of this heat shield now. We're coming down very steep through the atmosphere. But this heat shield should protect us. And let's fire off these parachutes. Now I wonder if the spacecraft tipped over due to the lack of symmetry in the mystery goo. I'm never too sure what parts are modelled in terms of drag and air resistance, but next time I'll show you what we're going to do actually, just to try and prevent that happening again. And we're going to take this rocket up one more time. Let's cut our drogue chute. I just like to use that just to slow us down, so when the main parachute goes, it goes at a much lower rate of speed. It makes me feel a little bit better. I've certainly had a few parachutes fail in the past. If you want to ask Jebediah's loved ones, they'll be able to tell you about that, I'm sure. I'm not entirely sure if the inquest would have been done into Jebediah's probably negligent death. Anyway, let's recover that vessel and see how we're doing today. So we managed to pull in 38.7 science there. That is a significant amount of science. I would say that was a very successful mission. Valentina still has all of her limbs and is able to continue flying, which is a great sign. So we are going to take the Orbit Kerbin contract next. We're going to pop over into our R&D department and we're going to have a look and see. I definitely want general rocketry for 20, and I also want... I can't afford that. Okay, let's get stability then for that. Let's make sure these parts have been bought. And then let's have a look and see what we're going to be focusing on next. We can get the Terrier engine, the radial mount engine, and the large fuel tank. We can get a Mark 1 crew cabin, a strut connector, a structural fuselage, a Rockomax brand decoupler, a Rockomax brand adapter, and a launch stability enhancer. We can get all of these guys to make a space plane. We can get some more control surfaces and a small inline reaction wheel. And we can get basic science, which just gives us science junior, etc, etc, etc. I'm going to say it's probably a good decision to buy basic science next, as it's going to enable us to make more science more quickly, which is going to help us with the rest of these. Anyway guys, that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a comment below and let me know how terrible you are, or give your condolences to Jebediah. I'll see you guys very soon, and fly safe.